Welcome back to Steve Robb Reviews. Today I'm reviewing this Milwaukee Impact Ratchet. It's not like the regular ratchet, so I've got the other ratchet I'm going to show you here too, but this is an impacting ratchet, and it's awesome because it's got a light down here. I'm going to show you some other features, and I'd like to just go over why I'm making this video. I looked at all kinds of different videos before I purchased it myself, and none of the videos were giving me the information I was really interested in. I'm not really that concerned about, the amount of removal torque is 220 foot-pounds. I'm not too concerned about that. And I'm not too concerned about 200 foot-pounds of tightening torque, because there's nothing that I could ever think of or imagine in my life that I want to tighten up to 200 foot-pounds. Now, most of the videos that I watched, and I bet you a lot of you are watching videos on, you're considering about buying one of these. Well, what do they show? They show a lot of people taking wheel nuts off different implements or, vehicles and that kind of stuff. I'm not using this to take wheel nuts off. I've got an impact wrench for taking wheel nuts off, so I'm not using it for that. And then a lot of people had a whole nice big display set up, and they torque down a whole bunch of nuts and then use this to verify if they can get 200 foot-pounds of tightening torque out of it, which, I'm never going to do that. Any of you explain to me why you ever have to tighten a fastener to 200 foot-pounds? Because, I've been in the automotive industry for 30 years. I worked on the assembly lines, and that doesn't exist. If you take a look at your vehicle that's been built in the last 40 years, there's actually very few fasteners that go up to, say, even past 100 foot-pounds. Now, there is some that go higher, but really, are you using this for it? I don't think so, right? And this idea of, 220 foot-pounds of, reversal torque, yeah, that comes in handy. For a lot of times, that comes in handy because you could have a fastener that's, torqued at the factory at, say, 90 foot-pounds. And that, I'll tell you right now, like that's not too often, and that's like the odd one, unless you're talking about some heavy suspension parts. But generally, if it'll come off, this will take anything off, right? But generally, if it's all rusted up and corroded and everything else, well, guess what? We don't stand there and just hammer like crazy like I've seen on some of these, these videos where they'll just lean into it for like 30 seconds to try and get a fastener off. And I'm thinking, no. I back right off right away. If I put anything on and it doesn't start taking it off soon, well, I'm getting the torch out. That's just my experience, living in a rust belt. But I'm going to show you some features on this that I've never seen in any other videos. And they didn't explain the one feature on this that I really wanted to find out myself, and we're going to find out today. So this here does come with 3 settings. I'm going to show you how the settings work. It's just a low, medium, and high. And as you press the trigger, well, it's also variable as well, which is really sweet. So this is an impact driver. Now I picked the 3/8, and it also comes in a 1/2 inch. So let's go over to the bench here, and I'm going to explain a couple of things first. Then I'm going to show you about the features that nobody else wanted to talk about, and that's exactly what I wanted to find out. So I bought the tool, and I'm glad I did. Okay, so I do have the M12 Ratchet, the first one. This is like over 15 years old, and I got the 3/8 drive back then, but I wish I would have got the 1/4, because most of the stuff I'm using this on, really, it's only good for like 1/4 inch. I don't need to have 3/8 on this, but it works fine. I just put, an adapter on it. But I got a 3/4 inch socket on here, and I just want to explain a little bit for a lot of people that don't know the difference between an impact, ratchet and a non-impact. Well, this here and the rest of the line, except for the one that I'm showing you today and demonstrating, none of them are impact drivers. This is not an impact. This is just a regular one, but it does have some advantages. So if I were to hold the trigger there, I could use this as a regular ratchet, for either tightening or loosening and loosen the fastener up, where the impact drivers you can't. It's just like your regular impact wrench. You don't have the ability to lock the head down. So, you know, I would say for most people, I really like this. I use this for small engine repair and small fasteners. I mean, really, to tell you the truth, I don't use this on anything more than, say, I would say 10 mil, half-inch, you know, head fasteners, and that's about it. And that's why I wanted to go to the impact, which gives me a little more power and all I really need. And I didn't want to get into another impact wrench. I've got a half-inch impact that I used to take wheel nuts off with, or big, heavy, you know, suspension fasteners, you know, which for me as a do-it-yourselfer is very rare. So let's get on to the demonstration of the tool, and I want to show you some features of this tool. And I've just got a nut in the vise here, and this is a 3/4 inch head, and I'm going to show you some features, and I'm going to show you how the tool operates. Well, let's start off right here. This is like a computer inside of a ratchet, an impact ratchet. So the first thing is this button right here controls everything. So I press the button and you can see the one lights up. That's the first speed. The second speed and the third speed. And the only difference between them is low torque, medium torque, high torque, or maximum torque. And this one here is the one that nobody really described that much. And I'll just, for demonstration here, yeah, you press the button for your control on your speed here, and it lights up here how many bars you have in your battery, whether it's getting low or whether it's fully charged. So let's go to this feature right here that I find fascinating. And this is only for reverse and forward. So going in forward, it is only going to fasten down your fastener until 15 foot-pounds. And I could understand that. Everybody can go look at the specs themselves. But there's a couple of things that I wanted to find out about forward, going down and stopping at 15 foot-pounds. And then when you put it in reverse, well, what it does is, soon as it notices the rotation of the bolt, or say the nut, if you're taking a nut off, it doesn't freewheel like most impacts. If you pick speed 3 here, it will come off real fast, and like a lot of times the nut goes flying or the bolt goes flying. Where if you pick this feature right here, soon as it notices that it's broken the torque to start to remove the fastener, well, it slows right down for you. And there's something on there that I wanted to figure out that I never seen anybody show, and I'm going to show both of them. The reverse feature and the forward feature. Well, here we go here, and I've got it on the feature. And there's the 1, there's the 2, there's the 3. Now we've gone on to the last feature, and we're in the forward position, so it's only going to spin this till it reaches 15 foot-pounds. I'll show you how that works. That's it, 15 foot-pounds. Okay, now that's not the only thing I wanted to find out how that works, because I think that's sweet enough just as it is. So now we'll go into the reverse, and instead of just spinning it up at 100 miles an hour, it's supposed to break the torque. Now it's at 15 now, and then as it comes up, it'll slow down. So let's look at that. Now you can see how it did slow down after it first started. Let's just show that again. Now there's the 15 torque there. Put it in reverse. Yeah, so it does, you can tell it slowed right down after it broke. It didn't go full speed. So what I'll do now is I will put it into the third mode, which is the highest mode, and I'll show you the difference. That's in forward. Now you can see what happens when it spins really high, and that happens a lot of times. And sometimes it's very hard to feather the trigger so it doesn't happen. So I think I really like that mode that, electronically controls it so that it doesn't spin off on you. But I wanted to show something else that I never seen on any other video, so let's get to that next. So I took the hammer and I just wailed on it here, and I put some gouges in, and I think the gouges, well, you know, they weren't enough. So I want to really test this thing. So let's put it back in the vise, and then we'll get the tool here. Now the only thing that I could not find in any of the reading of this is you got 1, 2, 3, and then you've got this undoing or reversal mode that comes up and slows. It doesn't say what speed it is or what the torque level is, but we're going to find out here, because hopefully I think I buggered up the nut enough to make this actually grunt. So let's see what happens here. Well, I tell you what, you take a look at that. That impressed the hell out of me right there, because most of the time when I'm taking a fastener out, especially if it's a weld nut inside the frame or something, it's all buggered up on the back side, and this sucked it right out, no problem. And you know, when you think about it, you take a look at that, like I buggered that up pretty good, right? And it just chewed it right straight through. And I will say that it was at the highest torque level, it must have been, but it did not come out at a crazy speed, and I think that is awesome. Okay, so let's talk about some things that I don't like about that, and some things that I really like. Now, the only thing that I noticed that a lot of people didn't like about this particular unit is they were saying that, well, when you hold on to it, it's too top heavy, right? It's too top heavy, and I'm going, wow. Like, I mean, this is, I believe the specs are like it's just under 3 pounds with a battery, maybe 3.5 pounds with a socket on the end. Okay, so let's just go 4 pounds. Like, I mean, if you can't hold, like, if I can do it, right? Like I mean, I'm old as Moses, and you know, if I can hold this like this, well, I think anybody else can. And for the people that said, oh, it's too top heavy and that, well, what do you expect? This thing is built like, you know, like a Sherman tank on the end here. What do you expect, right? But I want to show you something here. If we take a look at my other ratchet, this is the way that you go left and right. And I like to, you guys leave me a comment down below if this has happened to you, because this only happened to me once, and then I learned my lesson. Okay, so I put a socket on the end here, and I'm reversing. You know, I'm going in reverse, and it's coming out, and I'm stuck between the bolt, and I got this end here jammed against a metal piece. Now I can't go nowhere because I can't get access to, you know, forward or reverse in this, because this is where the forward and reverse is, right at the end here. So what do? I'm lucky in my particular situation. I didn't have to just like destroy the tool or something. I could fit my Sawzall blade in there, and I cut just the bolt itself so I could fit this out. So I mean, yeah, I've jammed this baby in some really tight spots, and you only do it once and you learn your lesson, right? Okay, so why is this tool so cool? Okay, well, first of all, it does have a light, and you're not going to be able to see it, you know, in a demonstration, but it does shine right up, and it shines up the area where you're working, which I think is fantastic. But what I really like is the forward and reverse is down here. It's not up here. So I mean, I'm not going to get myself in a jam anywhere. And you know, like I work on really rusty kind of stuff a lot, and I like to be able to just, you know, go in one direction, hit the button, go in the other direction, hit the button, go in the other direction, because you know, this mode, now there's a mode on here for tightening, and it only goes down to 15 foot-pounds. That's got to be like a really clean fastener. You know, it can't have no dirt on it or any rust or anything, because yeah, once it gets to the 15, it just shuts off. So for most cases for me, yeah, it's great just to put the fasteners in, and then you adjust the torque to go at a higher level if you want. But for all the videos that I've seen where they complained or they tried to prove that this wouldn't go up to 200 foot-pounds tightening torque, I'm saying I don't need no 200 pounds tightening torque. I don't know what you're tightening, you know, that's got to go that high. I mean, You know, and anything that does go a higher level, well, you're getting out a torque wrench anyways to tighten it up to the proper spec in the first place. And the other thing is, well, the breakaway torque is 220. So they like to try and prove that it won't do 220 or it'll do more. So I've seen so many people like take it up to say, well, like 260, and then, you know, say that it'll do 260. Okay, so like what are you undoing with this? I'm not too sure what people are using it for. But I guarantee you, in my experience, this will take off any fastener, you know, that's on most vehicles. And if it's that tough to get off, yeah, you can go to your big impact. I've got a 1/2 inch impact. But generally, I don't do what I've seen on a lot of, you know, these demonstration videos where they're just wailing on it for like a long time. If it can't come off in the first couple of seconds, I back right off, because you know what? Even a tool like this with 220 foot-pounds of, you know, breakaway torque, well, you know, if you're doing that on fasteners 1/2 inch and below, you're just going to rip the heads off. So I mean, what is the purpose, right? Like nobody uses the whole amount of torque. Now it's good if you got yourself, say, a rusty fastener. It's coming out. You can put some lube in there and put it in, take it out, put it in, take it out. And, you know, that's the way you work. Never mind this nut busting torque stuff, you know, that just destroys everything. And that's all it's going to do. So I wanted to make a review where, you know, you can actually show that the tool has a useful purpose. And, you know, if you're thinking about, you know, the difference between this and, you know, an impact wrench, well, I mean, my God, the difference in the head. I mean, if you were to have an impact wrench, you're out here like this, right? So this gets into a lot of nice spots. Yeah, it's not as small as this, but this is only doing up to 35 foot-pounds, right? So a lot of times, yeah, I'm actually using this as a ratchet to break it free and then take out the fastener. This is good for like so many, you know, places. I mean, if you don't need the impact one, well, just go for this, right? Because I think this is fantastic too. And Milwaukee doesn't make no junk. Most of the other major brands, they don't make junk. You know, I'm not going to try and disprove that this can't do the job. I think this is fantastic. I like the idea of putting in a fastener nice and slow and then it stops, right? As long as it's not all rusty and that kind of stuff. And then taking it out, like, is that sweet or what? So when it got down to the threads there, it kept on coming out nice and slow. It didn't like just zing and, you know, you got, you know, fasteners flying all over the place. So I hope I've answered some questions. If I haven't, well, you can leave me a question down below and I'll answer if I can. But I'm telling you right now, this is smoking good for me. I like it. And, you know, this idea of saying it's too top heavy, come on. I think this is a winner as far as I'm concerned, and I'm glad I bought it. So thanks for joining me here today. If you haven't seen this channel before, you're welcome to subscribe. Come back and see some more real reviews.